Okay, hello. So do we have any questions from the previous sessions or any thoughts or sharing? We'll start with that. Prachi or Pashwadi, maybe.
I was actually watching previous session only right now.
Okay. Pashwadi,
No, I don't.
anything
I don't have.
from? All right.
Not right
Okay.
now. Thanks.
So yesterday we kind of decided that before starting the recording and listening to Baba, just do a bit of a summary of what we've done till now, so that it becomes a bit easier to tie the threads together. So after sharing that entire journey of his, the story of his entire journey up till Samadhi and then beyond Samadhi to Sanyam, after that, Baba has started sharing essentially what he saw. So he starts out with that, suddenly upon doing Sanyam, every corner and every tiny aspect of existence became visible to him. And as he studied it further, there were certain things that he came to see and to understand. And he starts to describe those. And in the course of that description, there are some segues, some tangents that he takes to address certain key issues that might seem confusing as to, where are these coming from? But they're just slight detours, and from which he then returns once again to what he saw and describing that entire journey. So these tangents are usually about a sort of samiksha, a sort of critique of human tradition up till now, or a summary of, what our journey as humans has been up till now. So he'll go into talking about hi, hello, Vikas bhai. And he'll go into talking about what the human trajectory has been since the Stone Age, and then the village age, as he calls it, and then from that towards idealism, and from idealism to materialism, and then from materialism, after all of these stages, because humans have still not felt completely satisfied with the achievements of these ages, or with the answers provided by each of these ages, how there's still a need for further inquiry, and that is where his proposal stands. So that is the essence of all the tangents that he takes, the detours he makes from the overall description of what he started to see. And when he starts describing what he's seen, he starts off with the fact that he started to realize, he saw that there were two types of entities in existence. There was this omnipresent entity and this unitary entity. This unitary entity, he is named nature. And nature is also composed of two sorts of natural entities. One is material and the other is this conscious entity. And he found that it is that conscious entity, the Jeevan, that is the same, exactly the same in all of us, all those who are born today, all those who die. It goes nowhere. It is not. It remains over here, and that is what basically uses human and animal bodies to express itself. So he recognized that there is this such a conscious entity, and then there are these material entities that exist in various forms. Then he goes on to describe the four orders: the material order, biological order, the animal order, and the knowledge order, and how he saw that all of these were defined and definite in their objective, in their processes, and in their purposes. And so in that, he found that his answers that he had started this entire journey with also began to get answered, because he found in studying the definiteness of all these four orders that you can understand the definiteness also of the knowledge order. And so his first question had been, what is bondage and what is liberation? That got answered in the form of bondage, he realized, was nothing but a lack of understanding or ignorance or delusion among humans. That is our only bondage. And our liberation from this bondage is upon understanding our definite nature and existence. And in doing that, we become knowledgeable and we become liberated from all sorts of restrictions and any sort of bondage. And this was the answer to his question of bondage and liberation. And then the answer to his second question regarding national character was also answered similarly, that once humans understand and become awakened in this understanding of what it means to be humans in existence, that such an awakened individual's conduct is itself a humane character, which can be constituted as a national character. And in this sort of humane character, because it is based on a universal objective understanding of what it means to be human and what it is to be part of this existential order, coexistential order, because it is a universal understanding, therefore anyone who understands it will have the same sort of understanding. We are united in correctness. So when we understand the right thing, we all understand it the same way. There are no variations in that. It is only when we get it wrong that there is a lot of variation. So there's multiplicity in incorrectness. So this is another thing that he realized, that we awakened human beings' work and behavior articulated into a set of principles, into a code of conduct, that is itself what can be called a national humane character, or a national constitution. And an elaboration of such a constitution into the details of nitty-gritties of how one conducts themselves and what would be appropriate in which situation, that itself would be a humane sociology. So these were the two answers to his questions. And then he goes on to talk about the fact of how this discovery happened, in that it was not something that he read from books. It was not something that his elders taught him. This was something that he achieved thanks to the collective goodwill earned by all of humankind. And that is where we had paused yesterday. So, Manjuji, I was just doing a bit of a summary of where this entire workshop has been going up till now. And if you have anything to say or ask before we start.
No, we can continue.
All right. So let's start. I'll share my screen. Okay.
ज्ञान अपने में एक सीढ़ी है, उसके पहले की सीढ़ी एक आदर्शवाद है, उसके पहले जो सीढ़ी है कलाकारी, ग्राम और कबीला, समाज, संसार है, उसके पहले जो भटकता हुआ जो जंगल इस ढंग से सीढ़ियां लग करके हम यहाँ तक पहुंचे हैं। इस उपकार को अपने को स्वीकारना चाहिए और इसके लिए हम कृतज्ञ हों।
So this is where we had paused yesterday, that he's talking about all that humankind has been through up till now, from the Stone Age where we were stumbling through the forest, to the age of artisans, and then villages, and then kings, and then idealism, and finally science. All of these were possibly, I have accepted them to be stages of human evolution, and for the relief that they provided us, and we should accept them and be grateful for it.
ये दूसरा एक स्थिति में हम पहुंच गए। अब ये पृष्ठभूमि का सामान्य उपक्रम आपको बताया, मैं स्वयं उसका सार संक्षेप क्या बना, हम स्वयं परंपरा ने जो उच्च।
So now this is all that I have told you in way of a background of this entire knowledge of mine. And the sar sankshep, this essence and the summary of that is,
कोटि की चीज हमको प्रस्तुत की, उसमें हम संतुष्ट नहीं हुए। फलस्वरूप हम अपने को एक जिम्मेवार व्यक्ति माना। हमारा प्रश्न का जिम्मेवारी मेरा ही है, ऐसा जिम्मेवारी को स्वीकारा।
The summary in essence is that my elders presented me with the topmost knowledge of their tradition, and with that I was unsatisfied. Now I considered myself a responsible person, and so it was my own responsibility to answer my questions.
हमारा प्रश्न का जिम्मेवारी मेरा ही है, ऐसा जिम्मेवारी को स्वीकारा।
The responsibility for my questions is my own. That is, in that way, I accepted the responsibility for my answers.
फलस्वरूप प्रयत्न किए, वैचारिक प्रयत्न किए, और कोई बात के लिए हम प्रयत्न नहीं किए, और वैचारिक प्रयत्नों में हम अंत में ये पाया सभी मनुष्य सुखी हो सकता है।
And as a result, I put in the effort. I put in some mental effort. I didn't put in any other sort of effort. I put in the mental effort, and as a result, I got the answer, which was I found that all humans can be happy.
सभी धर्म सफल हो सकता है, ठीक है, और ये धरती स्वर्ग हो सकता है, मानव देवता हो सकता है, इस प्रकार की।
What I found was that all humans can be happy. All dharma or orders can succeed. Dharma is often translated to religion, but the literal meaning of dharma is the orderly way, the law or the system of something. So all orders and all systems can succeed. Or you can alternately interpret this as that all the religions that have been that have proposed various have postulated various things up till now, they've all had some essence of truth in terms of their aspirations. There have been some hopes for goodness and universal well-being, and all of these hopes, which are in common to all the religions around the world, all of those positive and real hopes can be realized. That's an alternate interpretation of dharma safal ho sakta hai. Dharma can succeed. Then earth can become heaven, and humans can all become gods. This is what I found.
ये चीज पा गए, इसीलिए हमारा इच्छा हुई, हमारा उत्साह बना, जो सारा मानव के सम्मुख इसको रखा जाए, उसी प्रयत्न में हम चल रहा।
And that is why I had the desire and the enthusiasm to present this amidst all of humankind and to share it with everyone. And in that direction, I started to move forward, and that is what this is.
जब मैं अपने में अस्तित्व समझा, अस्तित्व जीवन और मानवता पूर्ण भले प्रकार से समझा, उसके तुरंत बाद ही मुझ में एक ऐसी स्थिति बनी जिसको अभी आपके सम्मुख रखना चाह रहे हैं। मैं अपने में विश्वास करना बन गई।
When I understood existence, and I understood Jeevan, and I understood humane conduct, there was a state was established within me, and I would like to share that state with you, and that was that I became confident in myself.
मैं अपने में विश्वास करना बन गई, अपने आप में बने। इसमें कोई बहुत बड़ी भारी चक्रडंडी किया हो अथवा बहुत प्रयास किया हो, परिश्रम किया हो, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं। समझदारी के तुरंत बाद ही स्वयं अपने आप में विश्वास होना शुरू किया।
I became confident in myself, and this happened on its own, spontaneously. It is not that I put in some heavy effort in or tried really hard to achieve this or anything. Upon understanding, this state was a very spontaneous and automatic result that emerged in me.
तुरंत बाद ही स्वयं अपने आप में विश्वास होना शुरू किया। विश्वास को हम हर आयामों में जांचना भी शुरू किया। उसी भांति श्रेष्ठता का सम्मान करना भी बन गई।
Okay. So automatically I found that I had become confident in myself, and on becoming confident, I also started to check it, to verify this confidence of mine in various aspects. Another thing that occurred was that I was able to respect greatness. श्रेष्ठता का सम्मान करना भी बन गया. I became capable of respecting greatness.
जो मतलब किसी भी श्रेष्ठता है उसको मूल्यांकन करना बन गए, फलस्वरूप सम्मान करना बनता है.
So wherever there may be any greatness, I was able to evaluate that greatness, and as a result of that, I was able to respect it.
हम जिसको मूल्यांकन करते नहीं हैं उसको हम सम्मान कर नहीं पाएंगे.
That which we cannot evaluate, we will not be able to respect that. So we must, in order to respect something, we must be able to evaluate it first.
मेरे अनुसार वो एक लक्ष्मण रेखा समझ में आ गई. समझदारी के बाद ही कहीं ये उपजना शुरू किया.
And according to me, I finally understood this sort of Lakshman Rekha is that, there's that story of the boundary upon which we cannot cross. So he is saying that until you cross that boundary of understanding, you cannot really respect any sort of greatness. So you have to be able to, understanding leads to the ability to evaluate, which leads to the respect for that value that you see. So it's sort of a, landmark, milestone sort of thing. That's what is meant by Lakshman Rekha.
श्रेष्ठता का सम्मान कहीं ये उपजना शुरू किया. श्रेष्ठता का सम्मान करना भी बनने लगा. तीसरा मुद्दा ये बनी, जो कुछ भी हमारा समझदारी थी उसके अनुसार हमारा व्यक्तित्व को पूरा का पूरा एक सुविधाजनक विधि से हम झेलने योग्य हो गए.
Okay. So upon understanding, I was able to respect greatness. And then the third thing that happened was that my personality became such, or I became such, that I became capable of tolerating my personality in its entirety, or rather my personality became entirely tolerable. He's saying this in a sort of humorous way.
मुझको कहीं भी ऐसा दिक्कतें नहीं हुई जिससे कि प्रतिभा के अनुसार, जैसा कि अस्तित्व सहज विधि के अनुसार, जीवन सहज विधि के अनुसार हम जी नहीं पाऊंगा, ऐसा कोई घाट अभी तक मिला नहीं.
I found that I reached the state where I found that there was no situation in which I would not be able to live in a way that was in natural accordance with my talents, with my pratibha, there was no situation in which I would be able to live in balance with my pratibha, with this in accordance with this natural coexistential order, and also while remaining true to my natural self. So my personality became such that it was well in line with my talents, with the coexistential order, and with the natural nature of Jeevan. So it's a bit, this is an interesting point. He maybe elaborate it a bit more.
आगे जैसा हो, ठीक है। अभी तक तो मेरे सम्मुख ऐसा कोई घाट मिला नहीं। इसका नाम दिया है प्रतिभा और व्यक्तित्व में संतुलन।
So I found that there was no such checkpoint or no such situation in which I was not able to keep all of these, all four of these that he mentioned, balanced and ensured at all times. And that no such situation, I have not been confronted with any such situation up till now, he says. And the name I gave to this, this phenomenon was a balance between talent and personality. So this is an important, interesting thing, and he's going to move on from here, but it will get covered later on in the philosophy, and if you want, we can discuss it also.
नाम दिया है, इसमें हम सही सच्चा उतर गए। तीसरे स्थिति में, पांचवें स्थिति में यह आई, व्यवहार में हम सामाजिक होने का तृप्ति मुझको अपने आप से मिलने लगा।
Then another thing which I attained was that I found that I was able to be very sociable in my behavior. I found that I was getting the fulfillment out of being very sociable.
उसका ज्वलंत गवाही ये हुई, हमको संसार के प्रति कोई भी शिकायत शेष नहीं रह गई।
And the best testimony to that was that I was left with no complaints against our society at large. I was left completely complaint free.
किसी के ऊपर मेरा कोई शिकायत नहीं है। अब रह गया मैं कितना सार्थक होता हूँ, नहीं सार्थक होता हूँ, उस बात की जांच हरदम करता रहता हूँ।
I was left with no complaints against anyone. Now, how true and meaningful this state is, I am constantly checking that in every moment. You know, whether this not having a complaint against anyone is a truly meaningful state to have. I'm constantly checking that.
इस ढंग से हम एक तो शिकायत से मुक्त हो गए, मेरे दायित्व कर्तव्यों को हम जितने संबंधों में जीता हूं, उस ढंग से हम जीने में सार्थक हो गए।
So one part of this was that I became completely free of complaints, and the second was that I was able to completely fulfill all the duties and responsibilities entailed within my relationships.
दूसरे ओर भौतिक समृद्धि, तो हम यह भौतिक रूप में ऐसा तो हम आरंभिक काल में, बाल्यकाल से हम परिश्रमी परिवार में थे, परिश्रम करना हम जानते ही थे, सेवा करना भी जानते ही थे, किंतु समृद्धि का मतलब हमको समझ में नहीं आती रही।
Then after that is material prosperity. Now regarding that, although since childhood I was born into a family which was extremely hardworking, so I knew how to work hard. I had been taught how to serve others. However, the meaning, I had never understood, or I had never known the meaning of prosperity.
किंतु समृद्धि का मतलब हमको समझ में आ गया। हमारा परिवार के लिए जितना जरूरत है उससे ज्यादा हम उत्पादन कर लेते हैं, हम समृद्धि का अनुभव करते हैं।
But now I understood the meaning of prosperity. All that is needed by my family, I am able to produce more than that. And in that way, I am able to experience prosperity.
इसमें शायद है किसी को शिकायत नहीं होना चाहिए, होता है तो उसको ठीक कर लेना चाहिए, ठीक है।
Possibly no one will have any complaints against this. And if they do have any complaints, then they can fix it. They can iron those out quite easily.
तो इसके बाद ये इस ढंग से 6 बहुत बढ़िया चीज हमारा हाथ लग गई.
So he says 6 actually, but they're 5. In this way, these 5 very nice. I had these very nice attainments thanks to understanding.
इसका नाम दिया स्वायत्तता. मनुष्य अपने में स्वायत्त हो सकता है समझदारी के आधार पर. मैं
The name I gave to this was self-reliance, swayattata. Humans can be self-reliant in themselves based on understanding.
मनुष्य अपने में स्वायत्त हो सकता है समझदारी के आधार पर. मैं स्वायत्त हुआ हूं, ऐसे ही आप भी हो सकते हो. इस ढंग की बात आ गई.
I have become self-reliant. In that way, so can you. This is what I am talking about.
उसके बाद आगे चल करके ऐसे समझदारी को हम वांग्मय बनाने के लिए तैयार हुए. जब स्वायत्त हुए तो हमारे बात संसार को हम परोस सकते हैं, बता सकते हैं, समझा सकते हैं, बोल सकते हैं, जी सकते हैं. ये सब साथ साथ आने लगा. फलस्वरूप इसको
Okay. Based on this, I became capable. I decided to share such an understanding with everyone else, with the rest of the world. This is after becoming self-reliant. That means this is after accomplishing all those 5 things, including material prosperity for one's family. After doing all that, I decided to share such an understanding with everyone else. And I just need to listen to all the words he said again.
आगे चल करके ऐसे समझदारी को हम वांग्मय बनाने के लिए तैयार हुए. जब स्वायत्त
after becoming self-reliant, I then became prepared to write out prepare a complete literature regarding this understanding.
हुए तो हमारे बात संसार को हम परोस सकते हैं, बता सकते हैं, समझा सकते हैं, बोल सकते हैं.
Because I felt that this knowledge of mine, I can share with the rest of the world. I can communicate it with them. I can paros sakte hain as to basically when you present a prepared dish in front of someone for them to relish, that's called parosna. Is there a word equivalent? That's a nice sounding way in which he said it. I found that I was capable of presenting it pretty well and nicely prepared to the rest of the world.
जी सकते हैं. ये सब साथ साथ आने लगा. फलस्वरूप इसको एक वांग्मय रूप, दस्तावेज का रूप देना शुरू किया.
And I can live according to it and demonstrate it for them, for the rest of the world to see and study and understand. And as a result, I began to prepare this in the form of a literature, in the form of a document. Manju ji?
Sorry.
You were saying something?
Did I?
Okay.
Oh, you mean my audio was on?
Yeah.
I thought.
Okay.
पहला दस्तावेज तैयार हुई मध्यस्थ दर्शन सह अस्तित्ववाद. मध्यस्थ दर्शन में मध्यस्थ दर्शन को 4 खंडों में 4 अध्यायों में ध्रुवीकृत.
The first document that was prepared was Madhyasth Darshan Sah Astitwavad. So this is mediative philosophy -- coexistentialism. We'll go into all these words eventually, but I'm translating darshan as philosophy, but darshan literally means something like a holistic view. What you see is what you are seeing in its entirety is your view, the darshan of that reality. So Madhyas darshan is a holistic view of reality, or in a way in which you also see the mediative nature of reality. So it's the mediative philosophy Coexistentialism is another name given. Now, this mediative philosophy was divided into 4 parts.
मध्यस्थ दर्शन को 4 खंडों में, 4 अध्यायों में ध्रुवीकृत किया। पहला अध्याय का नाम दिया है मानव व्यवहार दर्शन, दूसरा अध्याय का नाम है मानव कर्म दर्शन, तीसरा अध्याय का नाम है अभ्यास दर्शन, चौथा अध्याय का नाम है अनुभव दर्शन।
Right. So it was divided into, I divided into 4 parts, or he also says, I anchored this philosophy into 4 parts. And the first part was named a philosophy of humane conduct, or you could say the holistic view of humane conduct. Then the second one is the philosophy of humane action. Then the third one was the philosophy of humane abhyas, is practice, essentially, of humane practice. And then the fourth was a philosophy of humane experience. So, vyavahar, karma, abhyas, and anubhav darshan.
Drishta, what is mediative means here? Like it is mediated through someone, like mediative philosophy?
Right. So you could say mediative or mediate, but to mediate, ya madhyast, the literal meaning of that is to kind of intervene and balance out. So to mediate a dispute means if there's something going wrong, someone who comes in the middle and kind of mediates between the two is someone who will cool down the situation and bring it back down to normal. That is mediative. That is a mediative action. So madhyast means, this is the meaning of madhyast. And why it is named that will come up eventually.
Got it.
इस ढंग से 4 अध्याय में पूरा दर्शन को लिखा। इन दर्शन का मूल तत्व है मध्यस्थ दर्शन। मध्यस्थ दर्शन का मतलब मैं इतना ही अभी बताना चाहता हूँ।
So in this way, I wrote the entirety of this philosophy in these 4 parts. And the meaning of this entire philosophy is a mediative view. And now he's going to explain that.
मूल तत्व है मध्यस्थ दर्शन। मध्यस्थ दर्शन का मतलब मैं इतना ही अभी बताना चाह रहे हैं। तो अस्तित्व में समविषम मध्यस्थ शक्तियां अर्थात गतियां हैं।
And the meaning of mediative view, for now I'll share just this much, that in existence there are sam, visham, and madhyas. So sam is positive, negative, and mediative. Yeah. So positive, negative, and mediative forces, or you could say motion. Shaktiyan ya gatiyan hain. So in existence, there are positive, negative, and mediative forces or motions.
समविषम मध्यस्थ शक्तियां अर्थात गतियां हैं। इसका अपने अपने ढंग की परिणाम है, जिसमें
which have their own kind of results, consequences.
में से मध्यस्थ बल और शक्ति वैभवित होना ही मानव परंपरा का अद्भुत देन है।
Of these, the manifestation, the grand manifestation of the mediative power and the mediative force is itself the great bane of humankind. Basically what humankind is meant for, is to manifest this, to fully manifest this mediative power and mediative force.
ये इससे मैं भी चमत्कृत हुआ। अभी तक विज्ञानी, ज्ञानी, अज्ञानी कोई भी इसका गंध लग जाता है, वो चमत्कृत होते ही हैं।
Upon realizing this, I was also quite amazed And in fact, anyone, any scholar, scientist, or any average person who catches drift of this mediative power and force, all of them are amazed by when they come across this.
मेरे सम्मुख अभी जितने भी हुआ है विज्ञान की
Among all the people that I have come across.
विज्ञान के अनुसार जो संवेशम शक्तियों को मानने की जगह में है, मध्यस्थ शक्ति मध्यस्थ बल को कोई प्रयोजन के रूप में समझना अभी तक बना नहीं है। मैं सोच
So scientists recognize the positive and the negative forces, but there is no one, but there has been no no understanding of or no acceptance of this third mediative force, of the purpose and existence of this third mediative force. Now, for Sam and Visham, there's also this alternate translation, which is generative and degenerative. But I'm just simplifying it to positive and negative. But yeah, negative in the sense of towards breakdown, not in terms of just like, positive and negative charge is just two names of equivalent things, but I'm just talking so generative and degenerative is another thing you can imagine them as. So science has been able to recognize these two, but they haven't yet recognized any nature or purpose or existence of this third kind.
सोचता हूँ ये प्रयोजन के रूप में समझना अभी तक बना नहीं है। मैं सोचता हूँ ये बहुत बड़ी भारी खामी रह गई, इसीलिए पुनर्विचार करने के लिए जरूरत आ गई, ऐसा मैं सोचता हूँ।
And I believe that this has been the major oversight, the major lacuna, and that is why there was the need developed for a reappraisal and for a need for rethinking of our worldview. That is how I think. That is what I believe.
तो मध्यस्थ जीव, मध्यस्थ बल, मध्यस्थ शक्ति, मध्यस्थ सत्ता, मध्यस्थ जीवन, इन चार बातों को, चार तथ्यों को, चार विधि से तथ्यों को समझाने का कार्य किया है। इसी का नाम है मध्यस्थ दर्शन।
Okay. So he says, so now what is Madhyasth Darshan? He's saying it is mediative philosophy is the entire explanation of these four things: mediative power, mediative force, mediative potence, and mediative Jeevan. That is what the entirety of mediative philosophy is all about.
सहअस्तित्ववाद को जब हम स्पष्ट करने के लिए गए, वो तीन स्वरूप में, तीन शीर्षक में तैयार हुए।
Now, when I went about clarifying what coexistentialism means, that was clarified in three forms, under three titles.
सहअस्तित्ववाद पहला जो बना समाधानात्मक भौतिकवाद, उसका ध्रुव बिंदु है पूरा का पूरा भौतिकता और रासायनिकता है, ये अपने में त्वा सहित व्यवस्था के रूप में प्रकाशित है।
The first expression of coexistentialism that I prepared was samadhanatmak. So resolution rooted materialism. Samadhan atmak bhautikvad. So a materialism centered or rooted in resolution. And the entire what that is all about, that revolves around the notion that existence is an order in itself with its own uniqueness. I'll just play it once again. Not sure exactly how he phrased it.
ये अपने में पूरा का पूरा भौतिकता और रासायनिकता है, ये अपने में त्वा सहित व्यवस्था के रूप में प्रकाशित है.
Right. So all the physical and chemical nature that exists, all of it has its own uniqueness, and with that uniqueness is an order in itself that is illuminated for all to see.
ये समग्र व्यवस्था में ये सब भागीदारी करते हैं. चैतन्य प्रकृति के साथ भी पूरक हैं, भागीदारी करते हैं, और जड़ प्रकृति के साथ भी वो भागीदारी करते हैं.
And they are unique with their uniqueness. They are an order in themselves, and they also participate in the larger order. They participate and they complement the rest of conscious nature, these physical chemical nature that we were talking about. It complements the conscious nature, and this material nature also complements each other. So there is complementarity between material nature with conscious nature, as well as material nature with other material nature.
इस बात को स्पष्ट करने की कोशिश की. इसका नाम देने के लिए मना हुआ समाधानात्मक भौतिकवाद.
So I wanted to clarify this main thing, and in clarifying that, I felt like the appropriate title would be resolution-centered materialism. नाम देने का मन हुआ. I felt like naming it myself.
अभी हमारे पास जो कुछ भी वाद है वो संघर्षात्मक माने द्वंद्वात्मक भौतिकवाद. तो मैं ये इस बात को
Up till now, the ism or thought ideology that we have is a struggle-oriented, a struggle-centered, or dialectical materialism.
स्पष्ट करने की कोशिश की है. अस्तित्व स्वयं में कोई झगड़ा नहीं है, द्रोह नहीं है, विद्रोह नहीं है, छीना झपटी नहीं है. ये एक दूसरे के लिए पूरक है, ये खुशहाली है, एक उत्सव है, निरंतर विकास है. ये बात को
And so what I have tried to clarify is that existence is not some sort of fight within itself. It is not a struggle. It is not some sort of draw and withdraw. What were the words? Some sort of attack and a retaliation. This is not what nature is made up of. It is in its self. It is an order in itself. It is a खुशहाली, he says. Let me just listen again.
ये पूरक है, ये खुशहाली है, एक उत्सव है, झपटी नहीं है. ये एक दूसरे के लिए पूरक है, ये खुशहाली.
Right. So there is no struggle, there is no fight, and there is no attack and retaliation. There is no china chapti. There is no, snatching and pouncing on each other and snatching from each other. There is mutual complementarity. There is a mutual order. There is mutual happiness, mutual well-being, and it is an utsav, he says. It's a festival, essentially. Existence is a festival, which basically means it's a joyous coming together and flourishing.
एक उत्सव है, निरंतर विकास है. ये बात को
And it is thus continuous development, nirantar vikas. That is what I have tried to clarify. इतनी सी बात है, that is all that it is.
समझाने की कोशिश की है. जो कोशिश में वांग्मय तो वांग्मय है, किंतु आदमी से ही समझेगा मेरे अनुसार.
So now literature is literature, but humans understand from other humans. That is according to me.
तो वांग्मय में तो कोशिशें हो सकता है, अभी तक भी कोशिशें हुए हैं, उसी क्रम में हम भी किया है.
So in my literature, I can only attempt to explain this. Up till now also, literatures have only attempted to explain this. So I have also tried, made my attempt.
इसमें मूल मुद्दा ये है, त्राण प्राण की बात ये है, विज्ञान सम्मत विवेक, विवेक सम्मत विज्ञान विधि से तर्क को प्रस्तुत किया है.
The mool mudda, the main concern in this is that its basic essence is that I have tried to Vivek Sammat Vigyan. Vivek is discretion, and Vigyan is Vivek is good discretion. That is, your good judgment, and Vigyan is of course science. So I have tried to present a Vivek Sammat Vigyan, a science which is guided by good discretion, by good judgment.
विवेक सम्मत विज्ञान विधि से तर्क को प्रस्तुत किया है.
I have tried to present my logic in a judgment-guided scientific way. A scientific way which is guided by good judgment.
विवेक का तात्पर्य में यह स्पष्ट करने के लिए स्पष्ट किया है कि प्रयोजनों का पहचान.
Now, to explain what is meant by Vivek or judgment, I'll use the word discretion. To explain what is meant by discretion, I have explained it as the recognition or identification of purposes.
प्रयोजन यदि समझ में आई है, पहचान हो गई है, उसके लिए हम जो विश्लेषण को उसका विश्लेषण हम करेंगे. प्रयोजन समझ में नहीं आता हो, हम विश्लेषण करते जाए, कौन सा दलदल में जाते हैं वो आपको भी समझ में आता है, मुझको भी समझ में आता है. विज्ञान की गति आज जहां आदमी जात को ले जा करके बैठाया है.
When purposes are understood, when purpose is recognized, then logic can be elaborated upon. When purpose is not understood, when it is not recognized, then no matter how far you try to build up your logics or how far you try to elaborate on your logic, the kind of daldal, swamp, an inescapable swamp that one gets stuck in is something that all of us are very well aware of. Okay.
This is not understood at all. The word house you referring to.
Yeah. I think he's giving a lot of benefit of doubt to humanity.
विज्ञान की गति आज जहां आदमी समझ में आता है, मुझको भी समझ में आता है. विज्ञान की गति आज जहां
I'm just going to
आपको भी समझ में आता है, मुझको भी समझ में आता है. विज्ञान की गति आज जहां आदमी जात को ले जा करके बैठाया है या धसाया है, फंसाया है, जो कुछ भी किया है वो आप स्वयं मूल्यांकन कर सकते हैं.
So this purposelessness elaboration of logic, the kind of swamp, inescapable swamp that it leads to, that I can also understand, and you can also understand, that the kind of place that science has left us stuck in, the kind of place that it has left us struggling in, is something that you can evaluate for yourself.
तो समाधानात्मक भौतिकवाद के अनुसार जो कुछ भी अस्तित्व में भौतिक रूप में है, रासायनिक रूप में है, ये सब कोई व्यवस्था में है, ये मनुष्य की व्यवस्था में जीने के लिए प्रेरक है. ये समाधान.
So in resolution-centric materialism, all the material world exists within an order. The physical world, the chemical world exists as an orderly system and exists as a sort of prerna, as an inspiration for humans also to be orderly. That is what I have tried to explain in resolution-centric materialism.
व्यवस्था में है, ये मनुष्य की व्यवस्था में जीने के लिए प्रेरक है। ये समाधानात्मक भौतिकवाद का मतलब है। और दूसरा मतलब यह है, समाधानात्मक भौतिकवाद में सभी एक एक दूसरे के लिए पूरक हैं, वैभव के लिए सहायक हैं और आगे की विकास के लिए एक दूसरे के साथ अंतर संबंध जुड़ी हुई है।
The second thing that I have explained, the second meaning of resolution-centric materialism is that all entities are mutually complementary, are complementary to each other, are supportive of each other's manifestation, and come together for the mutual growth of each other.
आगे की विकास के लिए एक दूसरे के साथ अंतर संबंध जुड़ी हुई है।
And they come together in relationship with each other for the further development, for the mutual further growth and development of each of them. For that, they have come together in established relationships.
इस ढंग से समाधान बताई गई।
That is resolution. As I
दूसरा
have explained.
जो एक लिखा मैंने सहअस्तित्ववाद को, दूसरा प्रबंध का नाम दिया व्यवहारात्मक जनवाद।
Now, the second elaboration of coexistentialism that I wrote, that second text I called Vyavaharatmak Janvad. So that is behavior-centric public discourse. So essentially a public discourse which is centered on behavior, and behavior means whatever interaction goes on between two humans. So public discourse for behavior.
मानव जो है अस्तित्व में व्यवहार पूर्वक ही माने संतुष्ट होने की जगह है। व्यवहार मानव मानव के साथ करता है। मानव के साथ मानव का व्यवहार अपने आप में मानवीयतापूर्ण आचरण के रूप में स्पष्ट हो जाता है।
So now a human's existence is on this in this world occurs through, sorry, how should I phrase this? In the book it's transcribed differently.
पूर्वक ही माने संतुष्ट होने की जगह है।
Okay. So a human's existence on this planet is only fulfilled through behavior.
व्यवहार मानव मानव के साथ करता है। मानव के साथ मानव का व्यवहार अपने आप में मानवीयतापूर्ण आचरण के रूप में स्पष्ट हो जाता है।
And humans behave with other humans. This behavior of humans with other humans becomes clear, is clarified in the form of humane conduct. Manviyatapoorn, or a conduct full of humaneness. Humane conduct.
और उसको स्पष्ट करने की कोशिश की।
And that is what I have tried to lay out in this second text.
बहुत अच्छी ढंग से।
Very, I've done it very well.
एक प्रबंध लिखा अनुभवात्मक अध्यात्मवाद। अध्यात्म जिसको मानते रहे संसार। और
And the third text that I wrote is Anubhavatmak Adhyatmavad. Now, Anubhavatmak Adhyatmavad would be an idealism. Adhyatmavad is idealism, which is Anubhavatmak or experience-centric. So an experience-centric idealism, as opposed to an idealism which is not rooted in any real personal experience.
अध्यात्म जिसको मानते रहे संसार और उसको समझाने असमर्थ रहे, और ऐसे अध्यात्म को हम आसानी से चंद क्षणों में ही समझ सकते हैं। जैसा आप हम बैठे हैं, आप हमारे बीच में जो विस्तार दिखाई पड़ती है, इसी को विस्तार और शून्य कुछ भी कहते हैं। ये विस्तार
Okay, maybe Adhyatmavad is better translated as spiritualism. So, an experience-centric spiritualism. And then he goes on to say that so far the world has, tried to explain spiritualism in various ways, but that spiritualism can be explained quite easily in a few seconds while we sit here, as we sit here.
आप हमारे बीच में जो विस्तार दिखाई पड़ती है, इसी को विस्तार और शून्य कुछ भी कहते हैं। ये विस्तार जो आप हमारे बीच में भी ऐसे ही है, ये धरती दूसरा धरती के साथ भी वैसे ही है, एक सौरव्यूह दूसरा सौरव्यूह के बीच में भी ऐसे ही है, और एक आकाशगंगा दूसरा आकाशगंगा के बीच में भी ऐसे ही है। तो ये विस्तार सब जगह में एक सा है, इतना ज्ञान होता है ये बस।
So now, this distance between you and I sitting here, that is what is called shunya or zero. Shunya is the word given to this entity, I think, which is often also translated as ether, and it's also, so shunya literally means zero, but it is an entity recognized in Indian spiritual tradition. He says that this distance between you and I, that is what has been given this name of emptiness or zero. And this is the same, this distance between you and I, the thing that is there in the between you and I is the same which is there between this earth and some other planet, and between two galaxies. Between all these entities, any two entities that you take up, the distance, this thing in between them is what has been called nothingness or emptiness. And it is the same everywhere. It remains as it is with no change everywhere.
एक सौरव्यूह दूसरा सौरव्यूह के बीच में भी ऐसे ही है। तो ये विस्तार सब जगह में एक सा है, इतना ज्ञान होता है। ये वस्तु व्यापक है, व्यापक वस्तु में ही एक एक वस्तु भिगा डूबा घिरा हुआ है।
This remains the same as it is everywhere. This entity is omnipresent. And in this omnipresent entity itself are the units of nature completely immersed, enveloped, and drenched, soaked or drenched, pervaded.
ये हमको समझ में आ गया।
This I
व्यापक वस्तु
understood.
के बारे में कोई शंका करने की जरूरत नहीं। कितना देर लगा आप हमारे बीच में? व्यापक वस्तु है ये, इसको समझने में अपने को देर नहीं लगता।
So there's nothing to worry about regarding this omnipresent entity. How long did it take for us to understand it? It did not take much time, and therefore it is easy to understand it. Something said along those lines.
व्यापक वस्तु है ये, इसको समझने में अपने को देर नहीं लगता।
It doesn't take long
इसी
to
को हम
understand this omnipresent
जो
entity.
इसका अनुभव सबसे पहले आदमी को होता है, उसके बाद आपका होना अनुभव होता है। यदि ये बीच में आप हमारे बीच में ये विस्तार ना हो, आपको मैं देख ही नहीं सकता, आपका अनुभव मुझको हो ही नहीं सकता।
So it is this that an individual experiences first. It is, I experience you second. First I experience this omnipresent entity, and then I experience you. Without experiencing this omnipresent entity, I cannot experience any other entity.
ना हो, आपको मैं देख ही नहीं सकता,
I
आपका
cannot
अनुभव
see
मुझको
you.
हो ही नहीं सकता।
And thus I cannot experience you without experiencing first this separation or this omnipresent entity.
ये हो ही नहीं सकता। इसीलिए सर्वप्रथम जो कुछ भी अनुभव होता है व्यापक वस्तु ही होता है, उसके बाद एक एक वस्तु का अनुभव होता है। ये इस तथ्य को स्पष्ट करने के लिए कोशिश की है।
So the first thing that is ever experienced is this omnipresent entity, and it is after that that any unitary entity is experienced. And it is this fact that I have tried to explain in this third text.
ये अनुभवात्मक अध्यात्म मार्ग का मर्मस्थल ही है। इसकी जरूरत के बारे में ये प्रकाश डालने की कोशिश की है।
This is the marmasthali. This is the essence, essentially, of experience-centric spiritualism. And regarding the need for this, for such an elaboration of this experience-centric spiritualism, he'll elaborate.
इसमें भ्रमित होने की बात आदमी मानव जाति अपने को पहचान नहीं सकता। अस्तित्व को समझे बिना अस्तित्व का ही एक पुर्जा के रूप में जो है मानव जाति, वो अपने को कैसे समझेगा? ये तो होना ही नहीं।
As for the need for such an experience-centric idea, spiritualism, it is without understanding this, without understanding this omnipresent entity, and thus without understanding existence, humans cannot understand themselves, because we are but a cog in this entire system. Is it time? Oh, it's already time. So maybe we'll elaborate on this tomorrow, because it's an interesting part. It'll take up time if I go into it right now.
Tomorrow, I think, is a weekend.
Oh,
no.
yes. Yes. Tomorrow is Saturday.
And Sunday.
And Sunday, then we'll meet on Monday.
But this was getting very complicated. And why? How can he say it so simple? Not simple. I mean, you can't say,
Maybe-
I told you, you got it. Of course, we will get it.
It's actually very simple. Maybe I haven't conveyed it as easily as he did, but we'll go over it again maybe on Monday when we sit down. It's actually
just not-
quite basic.
Achha. This chapter ka to thoda sa bacha hai na, I can see on the thing. Just like a minute maybe. It's seeming.
No, 54, and so about 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 15 minutes left of this one. So yeah, if you want, we can cover why he's saying that it's something so simple and basic. He's expressed it in very basic terms. So we'll discuss that on Monday. Or in fact, if there's something that anyone would like to talk about or share right now, we can do that right now also. Anyone?
All good, Drishta here.
Okay.
I mean,
We can go into it.
later, maybe Monday.
Or if it's okay, I think we can take 5 minutes. Because I lost
What is
track
he
again.
trying to say? What is he trying to say? That's
he's-
the
This simple thing which he is indicating at is that there is this entity which lies between two units that we see.
I
We're
suppose
able
he's
to
talking of space.
Yeah. So this star that he's talking about is this space. The word we give to it in English is space. He says that it is space that we see before we see the entity. If I didn't perceive a distance between myself and say the computer in front of me, I wouldn't be able to identify the computer only. So no matter what you look at, first you're looking at the distance between yourself and that entity, or the space between you, and then you see the entity.
But it is invisible, no? The space in sense is not tangibly
So-
visible.
It's not tangibly visible, but you experience it. No, we are all able to perceive that there is distance. it is universally perceived, experienced as a distance. Hello, Maya ji. Are you a friend of? Are you Manju ji's friend? I see you've raised your hand. You can unmute yourself and share what you'd like to share. Maya ji. Okay, or we can't hear you. So if you'd like to type whatever you had to say, maybe then I can respond to it. Okay, so I'll until Mayaji types, I can continue. So Manjuji, were you getting this thing that we all experience? There is no experience of anything without experiencing this distance and this space. This distance is itself space.
I mean, it is so obvious that one can't think it's something to talk. Like it's something there.
Yeah, we take it for granted, as we often do things that are just there. I mean, we all experience it and we know we experience it, but we haven't really articulated it in our brains to see what it means.
Needs to be meditated on.
Yeah, it's something very simple. It's nothing very, mystical or profound or deep in that sense as yet. That is all he's saying, that your first ever experience of anything is space, and then you experience anything else.
Okay, let me think about it.
Okay. Anything else from all that was covered before this also, before the idealism, spiritualism?
I'm not sure I get the route. Where's it going to, anyway, we'll get to it.
Oh, he's just talking about giving us an overview of what all he has written down in his literature. He's giving an overview of how he has elaborated on his knowledge. So he said, so this entire literature that he prepared to share the knowledge he received, he said was the first part of it is the core philosophy of it, which is broken down into the first 4 parts. And then after giving the core philosophy, he said, I expanded upon the essence of it, which is coexistentialism. And in that had 3 parts, which are in the form of 3 books. The first book was a book on resolution-centered materialism. The second book was on behavior-centric public discourse. And the third book is this one, which is experience-centered spiritualism. So these are the 3 books that are explaining coexistentialism.
Jeevan, acha, okay. So this book meaning Jeevan Vidya.
No. Jeevan Vidya is the name given to the program of educating adults regarding the existence of Jeevan.
The name of this book
This book is called Jeevan Vidya An Parichay, which basically means an introductory workshop explaining the Jeevan.
No, what is the name of the 3 books then? One book was.
The first book is resolution-centric materialism. The second book was behavior-centric public discourse. And the third book is this experience-centric spiritualism.
Okay.
So these are the 3 books explaining coexistentialism. They come following the 4 core philosophy books.
Okay.
So that's what he's basically giving a broad, like a curriculum or syllabus of studying Madhyas Darshan. He's listing those out.
And these come after the 4 books.
Yeah.
Which are those 4 books, some other books?
The first 4 books he mentioned was the philosophy of humane behavior. Then there was the philosophy of humane action. Then philosophy of humane practice. and Philosophy of Human Experience.
Ah, okay.
So these are the
Okay.
4 core philosophy books that covers
Mhm.
what, you know what I had shared, that the 4 of these books, what they're explaining essentially is this mediative power, mediative force, mediative potence, and mediative Jeevan. That is what is explained in these 4 books. Then these
Okay.
3 books, what are they for? That he's kind of elaborating in,
Wow,
brief.
okay. I missed somehow that book part.
Yeah. So he
Yeah,
started
it's a
with saying
book.
that I prepared myself to write up an entire literature of this Madhya darshan, and then what is part of this literature, now he's elaborating on all.
Ah, okay. Now I got that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Mm.
Okay, glad. Okay, I saw there's a message. Hey, taking a leave. Okay, Prachi is leaving. All right. So if there's anything else to ask or share, maybe we can do that on Monday and write it down, and write down any questions that might come, or if you revisit this over the weekend, just write down any thoughts that you'd like to share, and we can take them up on Monday. Utsav was celebration. I saw. Yeah. So yeah, there was a word that came in the middle, that all of existence is an utsav, and a word I've used for that was festival, and another word that can be used for it is celebration. All of existence is a celebration. Yes. Okay, then I suppose we can pause here and meet again on Monday. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.